Yo, what's going on, y'all? Hello, 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 and a very happy December 26th to everyone. Happy Boxing Day to our friends across the pond. Sorry, I had to mute our own YouTube stream. I could hear my echo and myself is messing me up. Happy Boxing Day, everyone. I hope everyone had a very joyous Christmas holiday season as we work into this new year. Aaron Murray, how was your Christmas day yesterday? All good on the Murray front?
All was good besides Maddox opening up his first gift and looking at his uncle who got it for him and saying, "I don't like this," and just really putting a somewhat damper on the family gift opening on the 24th.
A literal I don't like this.
Yeah, like we have to I felt like I'm like, okay, I want him to be honest because I don't want to teach my son to lie. But there's also a just teaching him to be, I guess, respectful and grateful that his uncle got him a awesome Spider-Man helmet. But we worked through it. We got through it. It was a fun 30 minutes of talking about it, and the rest of Christmas was just perfect. Yourself?
Yeah, to be fair, as a child, a helmet, not the first present that you want to pop open. But you're right. You got to be thankful no matter what. Like, even if you hate the gift, you got to fake it till you make it. That's just a life lesson. Like, there's no way. John A. Schultz, why is T-Bob wearing Dumbledore's hat? I bought this when we went to Orlando earlier this year in Hogsmeade, and I've officially deemed it my holiday hat. And so I have been wearing it pretty much 24/7 since then. Also, I was on a website looking up like historical costumes the other day, and I did not realize that this hat is really inspired by traditional smoking hats. You know, when you had a room where you'd put on your smoking jacket and your smoking hat, maybe take away from that smell a little bit when you would go back in the other room. And it once again made me realize I was born in the wrong time, because there's nothing I would love more than to sneak away to a little man cave and ignore the women and children as the boys smoke pipes together in fancy hats and fancy jackets. I had a no, shut the fuck up, Bo Kinney. I'm not going to take this for 4 months, guys.
Wow.
I look like the kind of guy back at a podcast bet with the hat on. Look, it is going to happen just post-April. We all got to be patient.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Some other excuse is going to come up in April, and T-Bob is not going to do it.
Nope, that's not true. It's not true.
Yes, it is true. It is true.
What is true is that I now have a Barbie dream house in my home that I should be charging rent to, given that it takes up what little space I already had remaining in this overstuffed sausage of a domicile. As I just don't have any fucking room for this thing. This thing is massive. Now, it's awesome. My kids love it. They've been playing with it 24/7. But, like, I don't know, these Barbie dream, because like Barbies are big, right? They're already pretty tall. So to make a proportional dream house requires a lot of real estate. But alas, it was a super fun Christmas day. It was awesome. All right. Gilbert says T-Bob still thinks the Aggies are better than Texas. LOL. Look, they were at the time. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Texas got hot. Congrats. You finally won something. It's been like Texas is doing what they should have been doing for the last 10 years. And they want us to all be like, oh, good job. Like, okay, great. You're finally meeting expectations. Like, I don't know. I wish Texas had Asian parents, because they wouldn't put up with this bullshit. They'd be like, okay, good. You got an A? Well, where's the fucking A+? Okay. You've been making D's forever. Good. You got an A? Great. You do it again. Like, everybody's way too kind on Texas just because they're suddenly good again. But we'll talk Texas, Washington. We'll talk UGA. We'll talk Alabama and Michigan. We'll talk some Pirtle news. And let's start there, Aaron Murray, because being a UGA fan, there's a great Disney cartoon with the three little ducks. What is it? Huey, Louie, and Dewey or something?
Oh, yeah.
And it's Christmas every day, right? And it's like, oh, I wish it could be Christmas every day. And then they get into it and they're like, oh my God, that's actually terrible, because it's just like all the specialness of loss. So I ask you, Georgia fans, in your charmed existence that you live, what does it feel like to live through Christmas every day? As every single day you wake up and the college football news cycle is kind to you, and there's a new present waiting on you, be it Trevor Etienne, maybe Colbie Young. How does it?
Is it Etienne? I think it's Etienne.
I don't give a fuck what it is. You're ruining all my flow here. You're ruining all my flow here.
Etienne. Respect the man's name.
Does it ever does it ever just start to feel good when all you get is good news constantly?
I wouldn't consider this offseason nonstop good news for Georgia Bulldogs. First off, like there was a lot of players leaving in the portal themselves, and
You and Brooks Austin told me you didn't care about those players.
No, I care about them. I care about them from a depth perspective. I mean, I said it last week on the show. Like Georgia this year, what were some of the issues down the stretch? Well, their starters were hurt, and while they may have talented backups, they were true freshmen that made some freshman mistakes. So next year, you're going to have the same thing. You're going to have guys that were freshmen. They're going to be put in a situation to take that next step, which you anticipate they do that. What happens if they get hurt? What happens if Allen gets hurt, and you have to go to a backup who is a freshman who hasn't played? It's just you're going to get into this cycle of having younger depth, which is inexperience, which they are talented, could cause some issues, which we saw Georgia versus Alabama in that SEC championship game. So, like, I wouldn't say it's all been positive. You've lost a lot of great players in the portal, and yeah, they've hit some good ones. Like, they only have 4 guys in the portal, so like they hit a home run in the recruiting. They brought a bunch of high school kids that will maybe help this team come 2024. But they do have 4 guys that should be impact players come next season. And obviously the big news with Etienne, the running back for Florida, coming over, I think adds a massive dynamic player to the backfield, something that Georgia hasn't had in a couple of years. A guy that not only could run the football, but when Georgia was at their best, it was obviously Brock Bowers getting matched up against linebackers and safeties. It was a guy like James Cook catching the ball in the backfield. Like that dynamic of the game was something Monken was so good at. Georgia really didn't have that running back that could be a matchup nightmare in the pass game. And you add him in there, I think it's a whole nother set of plays that could be added to this playbook come next season.
Yeah, Etienne perfectly fills exactly what Georgia's looking for. And he's done over a 2-year sample size in an offense that outside of him hasn't been that nice. Like he's back to basically average 6 yards a carry over 2 years. Now he's only getting about 10 carries a game over those 2 seasons. Real quick before I get more into Etienne himself, in terms of usage, would you expect him to be closer to 20 carries a game?
Georgia still has a nice stable of running backs. Obviously, you're going to get one of your top guys back who missed the entire season with injury. You have a couple other really good freshman running backs I know Bobo's high on that just really weren't ready yet. I don't know if Georgia will ever have like a true RB1. Like they recruit the position too well. And obviously you and I both know the name of the game is getting guys touches. Like you have to get all your running backs touches and feeling like they're part of the game where those guys are going to transfer. So with how well they recruit there, with the whole RB, you conversation, you're going to have too many guys where you can just, to me, really feature a true number 1 back. Will it be more than 10? Yeah, I mean, I could see like 15 total touches, maybe not straight carries, but 10 even carries, then, 4 or 5 receptions.
12, he averaged about, if you do the catches now, he averaged about 12, 13 touches a game, even at Florida.
I think that's pretty good. 15 touches, I think that's pretty good. I don't think Georgia's not going to turn into a running football team next year all of a sudden. Like I still think with some of the guys you brought into the portal that we'll obviously talk about real briefly here with London Humphreys from Vanderbilt. You got Colbie Young from Miami. You have a couple other guys. Obviously, they're waiting on Ladd McConkey if he comes back or not. But there's some really good receivers still in the roster right now. And you got 2 really good tight ends as well. And you got one of the best quarterbacks in the country. Like you're not going to just all of a sudden turn into an offense, old school Bobo, run the ball 60% of the time. It's going to be still, I would say, lean 55% pass, maybe 50-50 run pass. So there's not like it's going to be a ton of rushes to go around.
Yeah. So I think it's an interesting deal where I don't like if he doesn't get significantly more touches, maybe his numbers actually remain very similar. But he ends up meaning that much more because it's kind of exactly what Georgia needs. We'll see. This feels like a very big deal. It is funny to me how quickly times have changed, where I thought about this and like wrote, I'm like taking notes, just thinking about the subject matter, and probably about 10 to 15 minutes in is when I'm like, he's leaving Florida and going to Georgia.
Yeah.
Like something that,
doesn't matter anymore,
was anathema. Not in a not too distant past, right? Something that to us old guys would have been unfathomable, a move that would cause you to excommunicate this guy from your friend circle, right? Never fucking talking to him again. Just like a real hoe-ass move. And yet now it's just kind of like, whatever, Florida, Georgia, that
does
makes
it,
sense.
Does it ruin, in your opinion, T, does it ruin because part of the passion of college football is some of these major rivals, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Texas, Oklahoma. Does it ruin it when you have kids kind of going back and forth to these different schools like that the hatred at all, or just does it ruin it? Just straight up, I don't know what else to say.
No,
Like,
no,
does it
not at
diminish
all.
it?
No, not
Okay.
at all. Because now you have spice to the narrative, right? You have a traitor that went to join the enemy because he couldn't beat the enemy. So now when you get to play him next time, you hope for all that it's worth that Etienne has just a garbage game and that you knock the shit out of him, and it adds spice to the mix. And for Etienne, sure, it's good for him, but again, it's kind of makes him look like bit soft, if you can't beat
I was just going to say, like, if I was in the locker room,
and I'm saying that, but you got to do what you got to do best for yourself. It probably helps his NFL prospects, right? So it's good for him.
That's why he transferred, and that was the big news. Like, he's like, I'm, talking with him, and I think some of his parents or family members were quoted too, saying like, this was a move for me to be a part of a team that has a more legitimate chance to win a championship.
No, I get that.
And go to the NFL, like, it all works out. I'm just saying, okay, for me, it would have been really weird to be in a locker room where like my number one most hated football team is Florida. I hate everyone on that team. Like, you're just so brainwashed to think like that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm going to welcome in their running back and I'm going to become best buddies with him tomorrow. And I'm going to teach him the playbook and it's NFL. It's a mini NFL, man. It's the minor leagues.
It's just different. It's different than what we came up in, where again, I had multiple, deep friendships that just abruptly cut off because they transferred to Alabama. Even when you transferred to a school that we didn't hate, you just kind of were forgotten about, but whatever. So it's just different. It's just, I think the only thing that bears mentioning is just how quickly we've gotten used to this sort of thing. Okay. Well, last thing on this, because I think this is hilarious. Black spot Billy Napier, dead man walking, like we talked about. I love his quote after news. Quote, Trevor's been great for the Gators. That's what I would say. I've got nothing but respect for Trevor, his attitude, his practice habits, his contribution to the team, nothing but respect. We wish him well going forward. That is a prime example of what all too many people have found themselves in life, is sometimes life serves you a plate of shit and you have to eat it with a grin on your face, and you have to say, thank you for forcing me to eat this shit. And it's so sad, but that's exactly what Billy Napier had to do right there. Miami wide receiver Colbie Young commits to Georgia. I don't think this is too big of a deal. I think he's definitely a physically different profile than the other Georgia receivers, though. I don't know the full depth of that roster. He's 6'5", big-ass dude. He doesn't have game-breaking numbers, but he has potential, certainly. Big improvement from year 1 to year 2. So, look, I think UJ gets better with this move. I think it's very solid from a roster-building standpoint, right? Like a WR3 upgrade, maybe with the potential to maybe go higher. But, I look at Dominic Lovett's numbers from last year. I look at Ra Thomas, and he's right in line with those. Like, nobody, the ball spread out too much. Nobody's going to have truly overwhelming. So it's solid team building, but, I'm not going to go too crazy over Colbie Young.
No, I think Etienne is the bigger one. I think that's the bigger impactful move right now. I'm not saying that Colbie won't be able to get in there and play some sort of important role. And then let's not forget too, like you say the receiver numbers are somewhat pedestrian for Georgia. The offense will look a little bit different next year. Like you have to, if you're Mike Bobo, you had to force feed Brock Bowers. Monken did the same thing too. Like, you got to get him the football. You all right over there?
Yeah, I feel like I'm being pissed on and somebody's telling me it's raining. Like, you're still doing this thing about the UGA receivers being explosive? You and Peter Burns both clowned the fuck out of me. Like, you're going to say that UJ doesn't have explosive weapons? And then I was like, what do you mean? Ra-Ra and Lovett haven't done shit.
I'm not defending.
40 yards a game, 35 yards a game, 50 yards a game.
You literally just said the ball gets spread out too much for anyone to put up significant numbers. It's true. They get spread out too much, and you have to force feed Brock Bowers the ball. So this is now their opportunity to prove us one way or the other. Are they good or are they not good?
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Exactly. Prove it to me. I'm not going to give them credit.
I want to see him prove it.
I'm not
giving him credit. I want to see him prove it too. I need to see him prove it too. I agree with you on that one. I'm just saying, like, this is their chance. They're going to get more of an opportunity is all I'm trying to get across, Mr. Getting pissed on the face over there. I'm like, what is this clown over here doing? Like, is his daughter throwing something at his face or something? Like, what is going on?
I do like that you fell into the bit that it worked
like,
though.
What are we doing over here?
So yeah, well, look, Georgia gets better with these two moves. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it good enough to beat Alabama? I mean, all fucking bets are off at this point. I don't know that I can ever say anything will be again after this. Other transfer portal news, Walter Nolen commits to Ole Miss. So number one player in the portal going to Oxford. This was kind of expected. So here's, I think, the interesting way to frame this, as PG did in our doc, right? Is Lane putting together a national championship contender in Oxford? And I'll say this. I don't know that I'm quite there. Here's what I would say. Like, the defense should be awesome, right? You now have a really good front seven. I think you've improved a lot in the secondary with these additions. You pay Pete Golding $2 million a year, right? Like, it should all be awesome. Now, it's tough to put together a mercenary team sometimes, though, and have it all work, right? Like, we've seen this in the NFL at times. I think of a couple that just jumped to the top of my head. Like, there was an old, like, Steve Spurrier Commanders team from when I was younger. They, like, signed Dion and all these other guys. They were supposed to be awesome. That didn't work out. Or that, like, Eagles dream team that I think was, like, Vince Young part of it. That was supposed to be awesome. That didn't work out. It's, like, tough to get everyone to buy in and gel and culture and everybody get along in a single offseason. But if they can pull it off, the results could be extraordinary. So I would say right now, preseason, they definitely feel like a 12-team playoff team. Like, they should finish inside the top four. And if we look at it like a scale, there's a version of this where everything goes right and they do truly push for a natty, but I don't think that's likely, right? Like, if it's a scale of 0, everything goes wrong, 10, everything goes right, them actually pushing for a natty would be like a 9 or an 8, right? And a 5 or a 6 is them just making the 12-team playoffs. So I don't think they're likely a real national championship contender, but I think they're very damn good.
No, I agree. But you say, like, the difficulty of building a roster through the portal. It's not like this is Lane's first rodeo doing this, and he's proven he can have success doing it. Like, that's kind of how he's built. It
worked one year and didn't work the other, though. So he's 1 for 2.
They had 18 kids this past recruiting cycle in the transfer portal. They went 10-2.
Yeah, but then the season before they started 7-0 and finished like 7-6. Like they lost like 7.
It's still
the same
Miss,
thing from the portal.
But he was still in the building phase of the roster. I think now he's gotten to the point too of this roster where it's not like I'm trying to build an entire new team through the portal. Like, they have, like, the thing that gives me more confidence this year for Lane and Ole Miss and maybe last year, the year before, is you have some really good key pieces and key positions already. Now it's just saying, like, I got to throw all my chips. I posted about this earlier today. Ole Miss is not an Alabama or Georgia where, like, every year they're going to have a championship quality team. You have to understand, when I have key guys in key positions, like a quarterback, I would say they have one of the top quarterbacks in the conference returning. They have probably one of the best running backs in the country returning next year. They got some other key guys in key positions on both sides of football returning from a 10-2 football team. If we can just say next year, 2024, is going to be the year where I put in all my chips and we're going big, then I think he's making a major statement with how he's putting this roster together.
Yes, it's definitely their best shot.
This is a team that I think quarterback, third year in the system, best running back, and now all those guys on defense, they should be in the playoffs. There's no doubt about it. Like, I would be highly disappointed if I'm an Ole Miss fan if Ole Miss is not one of the top 12 teams come in the next season.
Absolutely. Again, if you finish top 4 in the SEC, you should make a 12-team playoff, and they should absolutely be one of the top 4 teams in the SEC. Again, it's just that. And I said Lane's 1 of 2. I guess it should say 2 of 3 in terms of creating these teams and having them come together. And as Chad points out, Matt Corral. Corral wasn't in the
portal era.
No, it was no. I was thinking of who was in when it all fell apart. No, that was Jackson Dart. That wasn't Corral.
Yeah, it was his first year.
All right. Now, Jake Dove, Lane Kiffin's a Littlefinger of the SEC. Hey, what did Littlefinger tell us? Chaos is a ladder. And Ole Miss has definitely been one of the programs that has climbed the ladder of the Pirtle era. All right, let's start talking some games. But first, let's hear from our friends at DraftKings. It's parade time in Pasadena, where tradition meets college football action in one epic bowl game. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, you can make every play count. New customers can score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on college football. So if you think this is where Michigan and Jim Harbaugh finally break through, or you think the song remains the same and the Crimson Tide and Nick Saban lift the trophy once again, either way, you play on DraftKings. So download the app now, use the code T-Bob, T-B-O-B, and new customers score $150 instantly in bonus bets for betting just $5 on college football only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code T-Bob. The crown is yours. All right. Alabama, Michigan. Aaron Murray, what does a win mean? What would a win mean here for Nick Saban?
I don't think I was hoping you go Michigan first here. I don't think it means it's just another win. I mean, let's be honest. Like, it's just another one. Like, we expect it to happen. It's Nick Saban. He's the greatest coach of all time. So, like, would it be awesome to be the number 4 team, beating the number 1 team in Michigan, who a lot of people have had as the number 1 team in the country all season long? Like, yeah, it's impressive, and it shows just how good of a coach he is to take a team that lost to Texas, that played like shit versus USF, to then beat the number 1 team in the country in Georgia, then turn around and beat the number 1 team in the country in Michigan, and go and have a chance to win a national championship. Yeah, it'd be awesome. But, like, are we really that surprised that Nick Saban would be in the championship game again?
No,
it's
I mean,
Saban, it's Alabama. Like, it's
I feel like, to your point, I feel like after the Atlanta win over Georgia, he's already proven the whole, like, never doubt him again thing.
Yeah.
And I'm with you, right? I like, literally what I wrote in my notes was, it just means another planet eaten. Like, he's already been Thanos or Galactus. I don't know my Marvel lore too well, but, like, this is just an all-consuming dominator just eating another planet. And maybe where this got a little spicy was it looked as if the heroes were going to band together and defeat him for a minute, but the big bad won in the end. Now, if Michigan is going to pull this off, and again, I find Alabama to be fascinating because they have looked worse than Michigan has at points this season, and yet we know Saban's resume when it comes to the stage, and so we give him the benefit of the doubt, which is earned. But if Michigan's going to beat Alabama, I feel like it has to come down to J.J. McCarthy. What do you think J.J. McCarthy needs to do?
He's got to run. I think JJ has to have a game where he gets like 50, 60 yards rushing, get a couple big-time first downs when guys aren't open. Going back and watching that Alabama-Georgia game, and I know Georgia's receivers were a little bit banged up, but still, like, those DBs, like Terry and Arnold and company, Caleb Downs at the safety position, they're the best secondary in the country, if not one of the best secondaries in the country. Michigan doesn't really have the elite playmakers. I mean, they're good. Maybe they're improved from last year. They like their tight end, but from like top to bottom, like, they don't have game records on the outside. Like, I don't think they have guys that I feel comfortable can win consistently on third and medium situations against man-to-man bump coverage. It's just not going to happen. So, like, if Michigan can if they can win first and second down and get to a third and medium situation, and when things aren't open, JJ takes off and gets a first down with his legs and extends the drive, like that's going to have to be the recipe. It's going to have to be, we have to win ugly. It's not going to be the super sexy 30, 40-yard play. It's not going to be the big run from Corum and company or Edwards. It's not going to be the big 40 or 50-yard explosive pass to the air. It's going to be the third and short, nothing's open. You shrug off a defensive tackle, and you get the first down with your legs, and you extend the drive. And then all of a sudden, it's a 4-play drive or 4-minute drive. It's a 5-minute drive. It's a 6-minute drive. You keep Jalen, Milroe and Alabama's offense off the field. Like, that's how you win it. It's going to be ugly as hell. He's going to be fucking exhausted when it's all said and done. But to me, that's the only way you're going to be able to win the game, because I cannot find a way for them to throw the football and win this game.
Yeah, I think he has to play like he did against TCU last year, but without the turnovers. No, I don't think he's going to be able to. Because in that game, he was 20 of 34, 340 through the air, 2 tuds. He went 10. He went 10 for 52 on the ground that game with a touchdown. But even if he doesn't get to something like 340 yards, they need to be willing to fucking send it in the same way they did that game. And I just don't know that
like
they
push the ball vertically down the field.
They haven't done
TCU's defense
shit.
wasn't good though. Like that's different, man.
Again, I'm not asking for the exact stats. I'm asking more for the same philosophical approach. Lean on JJ and fucking send it. He's your only hope to potentially unlocking the playmakers, is him being able to threaten in multiple ways. And yeah, like the O-line's going to have to wait at this other stuff. But if they try to play this scared ass pussy shit, I think the explosivity of Alabama will end up wearing them down and overwhelming them. I think a fun exercise. I'm
gonna say this. Like, I'm not saying that like don't try to create explosive plays in the pass game. I'm just saying like it's hard for me to think that they're going to be able to be successful consistently doing it. I think someone asked in the chat like why is Michigan favored in this game from Vegas? And I don't really know, to be honest. Like I don't know if they still don't trust Milroe, if they think Michigan's defense is good enough to maybe get a couple turnovers. If they look
is very good, like this, like both offenses should be at disadvantages here.
I completely agree. I think this is going to be an interesting game of like which offense can consistently move the football. Like I don't think this is going to be a high scoring game. Like I don't know what the over under is, but I think first team that gets to the mid 20s wins the football game. I don't know if either team touches the 30s.
I will say this. Okay, here's kind of a fun exercise that I think helps me frame this game in my head. What is one word that you would describe Alabama with? I gave you one adjective.
Confident.
Okay. I would go inevitable, like our boy Thanos, right? Because here they are again. What is one adjective that you would use to describe Michigan?
I do think they're a little cocky right now.
Okay.
I think Michigan's cocky. I think Michigan came into this season saying this was our year. We've gone through all the struggle. Maybe you could say resilient a little bit too, because they've been through a hell of a season.
Yeah.
But I kind of look at like Michigan, and I love it though, because you need to feel cocky still heading into a game like this, and you have to believe you're the better team. But I do think I think they're overconfident, thinking that they can finally push through and beat not only an SEC team like Alabama or Georgia, which is something that's hindered them from winning a championship, but actually win a championship themselves this year. I think maybe a little bit too overconfident right now with who they are.
Overconfident is interesting to me. I would not have considered that, given that I don't think they feel terribly overconfident. When they learned they had to play Alabama, they looked like a team that was dealing with the reality of, oh, we just got fucked in the ass by the CFP. And I too have.
There's a big difference between that Alabama and FSU, though. I mean,
trust me, I lived through it in 2011 when we watched a selection show, and it was Oklahoma State and Alabama on the board. And once again, the team just got invited to the championship game. So no, I know the exact feeling. I don't think I would say for me, I think Michigan has solid. And solid may sound dismissive, but it's really not, right? You look at the definition of solid, the deeper you get into it, unanimous, unified, reliable. To me, this Michigan team is like their logo put into a football team for just that solid block letter M. There's no great weaknesses on the team, even if you think that there's no especially dangerous points on them either. And it's the visual in my head that I keep coming back to, right? Inevitability, Bama, like they feel almost like the ocean, right? With all of its explosivity, its volatility, but then Michigan feels, or they're hoping to be, this almost rocky outcrop with a lighthouse on the top, and a fucking storm's coming. And the question is, with McCarthy as the lighthouse, can they hold up to the fucking crashing waves, to the explosivity, the volatility of Alabama, and be solid? Because if they play solid football, they can refine Jalen Milroe making those mistakes again. They can win in the trenches more than I think we're giving them credit for. And if they can do that, then maybe they end up winning this game. Maybe they get swept away. But there's a real solidity to this Michigan team that I don't think Alabama has. Alabama's been way more volatile this season and way more boom or bust. And if you catch Alabama on the wrong day, they can bust out. But you generally don't get Nick Saban.
I think it's also I would say this about Alabama. I feel like this year's Alabama is way more together than they've been in years past.
I would agree with
Like
that.
I feel like I feel like they from a chemistry standpoint, like they for a couple of years now, they relied on Superman to continue to bail them out. They knew they didn't have Superman, Bryce Young, or Will Anderson this year. Not something like that. We're going to look up in April, May, whenever the NFL draft is, and Alabama's probably going to have 4 guys drafted in the first round. Duh. So we're kind of like, well, it's still Alabama. Like there's still obviously elite talent on that roster, but there is no more Bryce Young. Let's rely on him to go win us a football game. I feel like this team, the message was the whole offseason, we have to play more team football, reliable football on both sides. So like you talk about Michigan being a complete team like that. I think this is the most complete I've seen Alabama play on both sides of the football when it comes to learning to play together.
That's just no. That's patently untrue. There have been way better. Like, yes, this is the most talented team in college football history. There's been better teams on both sides of the ball. Those AJ McCarron teams would beat this team on defense and offense. Those end when AJ.
I'm not saying better football teams. I'm saying teams that understand that we have to play together. Like those teams before were some of the best defenses of all time, and like and like they relied on that. Then obviously they turned into an offense that was just absolutely dominant. Like this team doesn't have all those elite pieces on both sides of the football, but they're learning how to play together as a football team in order to win.
I mean, look, I do absolutely agree with the overall sentiment that yes, in an odd way, their reliance on Bryce Young and Will Anderson, they've said as much, led to weird like anxiety and pressure of we have to win, where this is a more scrappy bunch that is a little less me and a little more we. I do agree with you there. Let's say yeah, and so maybe he obviously said cohesiveness. So yeah, maybe I just misunderstood you there. Wait, there was a comment here that Sean D says Michigan did the same last year versus TCU, saying now we're going to show TCU Big Ten football. So I think that's a key difference between last year and this year. Is last year Michigan was absolutely overconfident against TCU. Yeah. They thought they were going to step in and just beat the fuck out of him. TCU runs a 3-3-5. We're going to run over him, and that did not happen. I think it's the opposite this year. There is no taking Galactus for granted. Like they're if anything, I think they're a little scared of Alabama, whereas they had no fear for TCU last year. Which hey, fear's fucking healthy, man. Wins an animal as long as you don't let it overwhelm you, right? But like wins an animal at its most dangerous when it's fucking scared, fight or flight.
It's back to a corner, man.
And that's
I wouldn't necessarily say Michigan's backed into a corner. They are the number 1 team, and they are favored to win the football game.
Yeah, come on. No.
I'm just being honest. Like, maybe there's some anxiety involved with this, but I don't think there's a fear.
Michigan has traditionally sucked on this stage, and Nick Saban is unbeatable on this stage.
I agree.
Okay. So it doesn't matter what you've done up to this point. Let's talk Texas, Washington here. I'll ask you, QB1, a very simple question to kick this off. Which quarterback would you rather have right now, Quinn Ewers or Michael Penix Jr.?
Ooh.
Easy answer here. Don't be dumb.
Ooh. I know. Michael Penix. I mean, it's close. It's close, though. Don't act like it's a massive gap between the two. It is not a massive gap.
It's not. It's not a massive gap. But I mean, Michael Penix is just and maybe this is a potentially flawed reason. Like, I don't know. I'm not even talking about who's going to be an NFL prospect, blah, 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 whatever. I don't know. I'll leave that to Aaron. He can evaluate the position much better. But to me, it's just that I know how Penix performs in really tight spots. And Ewers, to your point, Aaron, it is close because like Ewers was excellent against Bama. Remember, Bama retook the lead in that fourth quarter of that game in Tuscaloosa. They took the lead at the beginning of it, and Ewers and company stared down the monster that is Bryant-Denny with their red LED lights, and they found a way to win by double digits. So, like, I've seen some out of Ewers as well, but I just feel like this year
bad out of Ewers too. Like, you remember that first quarter versus Oklahoma? He looked lost.
Yeah,
played great the last 3 quarters, but I mean, what, he had 2 interceptions?
Penix has had some of that as well. But the point is, whenever it's been like, we have to get this third down, we have to score here, we have to extend this drive, it seems like every fucking time Michael Penix Jr. has come through. Like, he is not scared of the moment. He is one of those rare players that thrives in it and seeks it out. So that's why I'll give Penix.
Yeah, but I think when has Ewers played his best football? Both games versus Alabama, in Tuscaloosa, at home last year before he got hurt. Like, he was playing an incredible game before he got knocked out. And I will say this, like, take away the first part of the first quarter versus Oklahoma, where he just looked like the moment was too big for him. He regrouped and had an incredible 3.5 quarters of football to give them an opportunity to win. The defense just couldn't get it done there in the fourth quarter when Dillon went down the field. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think Quinn has answered the bell for me of, like, crunch time, need a win, big time opponent. I think Quinn's got some pretty big old balls too. They go out there and he's not going to be, the moment ain't going to be too big for Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it is funny to look back on. That's how we talked about Quinn at first, was like when we saw that first quarter against Bama 2 years ago. He's like, this guy loves the stage. He's just out here fucking slinging it. And then he lost some of that. And you're right. He's maybe refound a bit of it. But I would still take Penix. Use one adjective. Play the adjective game. Use one adjective to describe Texas besides back. You cannot say back.
What? Texas is back. Texas.
No, I mean, they are back. I'm saying, was that going to be your one word?
No.
Okay.
I would say tough, which is something that we're not used to seeing with Texas. Like, Texas is a tough football team. Like, they've shown us they can be tough at the line of scrimmage, both on the offense and the defense side of the football. Tough in the sense of you lose your best player at the running back position, you back it up, and you have guys step up and continue to make plays at that position. You lose Quinn Ewers for a couple games, and you bring in Malik Murphy, who now's not on the team anymore, but you brought him in, you still found ways to win games. Like, It's a tough football team that I don't know if I could have said that about Texas for the past decade. Like, that's you said it best, T, earlier, and you've said it before. Like, Texas has always had the talent. They, to me, have not been physically and mentally tough to push through and actually be the team that they should be. And I feel like for once, I'm actually looking at a team that both mentally and physically are tough and are getting the job done.
Yeah, Dobby says, is Sark a good coach or a good acquirer of talent, or both? I think he's actually both now.
Yep.
I just needed him to break through the glass ceiling, and he did it. I would describe Texas as flashy in that they seem to just have star power everywhere, right? Like Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell on the outside, Ewers when he's at his best. Like, I still think about the moonshot in the Alabama game that scraped the stars before it fell back down perfectly. I mean, you got front seven littered with guys who get after the quarterback. And then you got guys like Jalen Ford, Devondre Sweat. But that flashiness doesn't extend to the secondary. That's a pass defense that can get you in trouble sometimes. And I mean, Washington, okay, you won the Joe Moore Award. The offensive line did. Go fucking prove it. If you can protect Penix, he should, with those receivers, be able to be very successful against Texas secondary.
I know is Joe Moore. Michigan's won it the past 2 years, and they've dropped an egg in the first round of the playoffs the past 2 years at offensive line. Georgia, they got whooped.
Oh, no, dude. Are you saying that's not the best offensive line? I'm saying, dude.
I'm saying LSU is the best offensive line. You know my thoughts on that.
Are you calling it a question how they evaluate the Joe Moore Award? You should.
I did last year.
You should hit up Cole and let him know.
I don't need Cole sending me, a book being pissed off that I was doubting the award. I'm just saying, like, Michigan won the past 2 years, and they got their ass whooped by Georgia, and they got their ass whooped versus TCU. So, like, maybe they have to pick a team that's in the playoffs. I don't know. But no, I like Washington's O-line. Like, don't get me wrong, like, they've done a great job this year. I thought LSU was the better O-line, but I have no issue with Washington getting it. But they're going to have a tough task. Like, they're going against. This is opportunity. Like, Michigan couldn't prove it versus Georgia, who was the best defensive line 2 years ago. You are going to go against, I would say, maybe the best defensive line in college football. Can you get it done?
And then if we were to use one word to describe Washington.
Explosive.
Explosive is definitely one of them. Even though they've lost some of that as the year's gone on, they still have a lot of it, but not as overwhelming as it was at the beginning of the year.
Fighters. They're a bunch of fighters.
How about this? This sounds boring, but allow me to sell you on it.
Please.
Adaptable. Did you ever learn about evolution in school, Aaron? I went to a
I think
Christian
we all
school.
did.
Well, no, I mean, I went to a Christian school.
That's true. That's
Very
true.
anti-evolution, right? The one thing
Yeah.
they would talk about was adaptability, because you can see that like within a life cycle, right? Where you adapt to your surroundings basically. And there's an old Bruce Lee quote that I think perfectly describes this Washington Husky team. Quote, be like water making its way through cracks. Do not be assertive, but adjust to the object, and you will find a way around or through it. If nothing within you stays rigid, outward things will disclose themselves. Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless like water. If you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now, water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
And look at
Beautiful.
Washington. They've won defensive battles. They've won offensive shootouts. They've won with great rushing attacks on Dylan Johnson. They've won where Michael Penix and the receivers had to do it. They've won scoring, having no success except when they absolutely need it. They won games where they played like shit and should have covered, like that Utah game. But they've always won. And so that's why Washington is so dangerous to me, is no matter which way you have sought to attack them, they're like the Borg. They figured out how to counter it, and then whatever was required them on that day, they found a way to do it to win the game, more so than any other team in this college football playoff. And I think that is massive when combined with a clutch quarterback like Michael Penix Jr.
Are they the? I've kind of dogged the defense, so the defense has shown up multiple. Like we keep talking about, like the defense ain't good. The defense ain't good. Like they've shown up multiple. They showed up versus Oregon. They've shown up multiple times down the stretch. Like you talk about the offense having to kind of adapt. Are they, in your opinion, the most complete team in this playoff? Because like Michigan has issues at the receiving position. Michigan's a little bit banged up at offensive line. Alabama still there's question marks in the offense. How good can the offense really be? We saw some issues versus Georgia.
Yes,
Texas has issues in the secondary.
Yeah.
Like, are there major holes where you can just poke at Washington, or are they the most complete team? I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not using the word perfect here. I'm saying the more complete team where there isn't this major, like, we can go after this and have success. Like Texas, we can throw the football, we can have success. If you're going against Alabama, if you can, limit the, explosive plays down the field and keep Jalen in the pocket, we can have success. Michigan, they can't throw the football. Bam. Like, where is that major hole for Washington? Or are they the least, are they the least flawed team in the playoff is a better question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I liked how you said most complete team. I mean, I just described the solidity of Michigan, but again, Washington has that, but with a dangerous element that Michigan just doesn't have offensively. I mean, I would say they are, because again, we've seen them adapt in so many different ways and win games in so many different types of ways. Doesn't mean they're the most talented, because they're not as talented as any of these teams, actually, even though then Michigan's probably pretty close, but they're not really close to Alabama or Texas. But they had a hell of a head coach, a quarterback who loves it in crunch time. And again, they have proven that they can adapt to whatever the situation at hand is. Bo to Bo says he's from Alpharetta, Georgia. Hey, that's right. Grew up as well. How about that? All right. Here we go. We got to play a video. What bowl game was this Eastern Michigan video from? The Linden Tree Bowl. South Alabama beat the fuck out of Eastern Michigan. And, South Alabama singing the alma mater with their students after the game. And here is what happened to it. Here's so if you're only listening on podcasts, they're singing the alma mater, and out of nowhere, an Eastern Michigan player comes up and jacks a USA player in the back of the head. There's a lot to break down here. First off, Aaron, this is a certified hoe move, right? You cannot sucker punch somebody when they're not looking. Second, this is a
it's like when I got punched in the bathroom taking a piss back junior year because some dude got mad at me for taking his girl to date. No, there was a reason.
Oh, okay,
It was
there
his
was.
ex-girlfriend. She took
I
me
mean, I
to
guess
her
there was a
date,
reason
but
here. He had, they fucked him up. But look here, but this is also though a room temperature IQ move here because
yeah.
he hit a dude with a helmet on who was in the middle of all of his partners, and he didn't even have a helmet on himself. So, like, he hit this dude. The dude didn't feel it because he's literally got a protective measure on. The sole existence is stopping you from feeling contact, like protecting you as much as possible. And then he has to hit the ground and cover up his own head because he's getting stomped out. Like, no wonder he lost 59-10. You're dumb as fuck.
Yeah, just absolutely stupid, emotional. I just want to know. I don't know if anyone has heard or seen kind of what was said to get him that juice or passionate to run the field and making it like you're going into the middle of the lion's den surrounded by a bunch of lions and you're going solo. Like what do you think is going to happen in that situation?
There is an audacity that I appreciate, but the problem is I think it's less of a, there is no courage without fear. I think it's less audacious as the guy's just fucking dumb. He's just really dumb, and he just didn't think anything beyond like, I'm gonna fuck this dude up, dude.
Almost as dumb as hitting the starting quarterback at Georgia, not thinking you're gonna get your ass beat the next day by a bunch of offensive linemen. I mean,
the next day they hunted him down.
Oh,
John Wick style.
He got his. I'll tell you that. What do you expect?
Wow. I'd have been like, look, man, that's your problem. That ain't my problem, dog. You got to deal with your own fights, dude.
I heard Bobo used to do that shit back in the day too. He'd pick fights with his offensive line, just have his offensive line beat everyone's ass. That was before cell phones and stuff, but
that's like it's a tale.
You can't sucker punch a starting quarterback and expect to not get your ass whooped after that.
No, I agree, dude. I agree. You're not wrong. All right. Look at that. 11.6 subs, baby. Let's go. 11.6. Road to 12.5 continues. 12.5 by the Natty is the goal. Please, please, please continue to like, subscribe, share with your friends. Yeah, it's been very fun with y'all here at the end of this football season. We got a lot left.
Hey, if y'all need to watch a game, your boys in Dallas right now.
Greg, in April, I get my haircut. Yeah, Aaron, what do you got going on today?
I got the Serve Pro game, and I don't even know what time it is. Is it Central Time? 5:30 Eastern. I'll be on the call. Come check me out. Texas State versus Rice here in a few hours. I'll be on the call for that one.
Okay, guys, again, I am going to cut my hair after this April wedding for my little brother that I have to officiate. I'm not in, I mean, look, I want to do a drunk companion stream for the national championship. I recognize that it's probably not enough to make up for pushing back the fuckboy fade.
No.
So I'll try to come up with something in the interim. We'll figure it out. Wait, no Lord of the Rings references today, T-Bob? Did I not even get a single one in? Somebody 3D printed me this golem, my boy Zach Moe. Look how tight that fucking thing is, dude. Ooh, it's so heavy too. I just like hold it in my hand and play with it all day. Anyway, hey now. Y'all have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow for a brand new episode of Snaps. Good luck, Aaron.